Hello and welcome to this new video here on Virtual Music Tutorials. This day we start a new chapter and we start taking a look at the short articulations in the strings section. So my name is Lars Eichstaedt and today we are going to take a look at the pizzicato articulation. So I composed a little piece that you can see here using only pizzicato strings, and there we'll first of all have a listen to it, and then we'll get right into it and start making little adjustments here and there to make it sound realistic. So let's first of all have a listen what I composed or what we have here. It's the rough version, of course, without any modifications. So that's how I programmed everything in. And what we may notice is it sounds very mechanical, not very lively, and there is much we can do to give it some soul. Also, when you take a look at this middle part here, where it's a little downfall with this little part here where everything comes down a little bit, we kind of get the impression that it's a little bit lower than the rest because it's in matter of loudness it drops, but actually there's much more we can do. We can make this whole part here at the end really lead into this new part, and also maybe create a little transition to get better into this part here again. So the first thing we will do, as we always did in the other videos, is offset the notes away from the grid. So I will show it to you in the first part in the basis, what I am doing. It's the same procedure that I already showed you in the previous videos. It's nothing new, but I just show it to you one more time, and then I repeat the same procedure over all of the other parts here of this piece. But while I'm doing this, I will pause the video because I don't want to bore you. Good. And of course, if you have any randomizing functions in your sequencer, use them, of course. I won't use the ones Cubase has for me in the tutorials because I want to show you a method that works cross-platform, so that doesn't matter which sequencer you are using. So let's go into the part and start offsetting everything by turning off the grid, and then just take the note and move a little bit front, a little bit back, this one maybe as well, a little bit back, maybe leave this one here, then like so, like so. And what is important when you offset the notes, that you don't overdo it. Really just take those little spaces, go not much more than this. That space here is way enough, don't overdo it. You can, if you want to, change your grid size to 1/64. That is really the space you can work with, and you shouldn't go over it. Never. So always make sure that you stay in this range and try not to overdo it. So like this, I'm working myself now through this whole part. What I'm then doing is check it, how it sounds like, to see if I overdid it. So we close this, solo the basses, and have a quick listen now. All right, So also nice transition to the next one, and I will leave it like this and work with the other parts same way as I did with this one. So I'll pause the video, offset everything, and then we will come back. Okay, so here I'm back again. Everything is now offset, and yeah, now it's time to check if everything still sounds nice. So we just listen to the whole thing one time. Yes, we can leave it like this and go on to the next stage. And now it's time to give this whole thing some soul. Yeah, the main tool in short articulations is the velocity. Because using the little velocity bars, you give the pizzicato line its specific dynamic. So let's take a look at the basis part, and let's enlarge this, and we have the whole screen like this. Very nice. So now let's get rid of the transport field. Yes, that's so great. So now when we take a look here at our velocity bars, they are all at the exact same value of 100. And now let's see when I take such a slider here or a velocity bar and drag it up or down, what happens? Yeah, we can hear that the dynamics are changing, and it is really changing. It's not only decreasing or increasing in volume. They're really from pianissimo to fortissimo recorded samples that are mapped onto the velocity bars. Okay, so first thing we will then do is just take everything and make somehow like these waving shapes. Don't overdo it. What we now want to create here is only a little bit of variation, but it has to stay in a certain range, so that it's not too strong, so that it doesn't really create the impression that some passages are getting louder and some are getting quieter. So you have to experiment on every line you compose, how much or how far you can go with this. So we can leave this part here as it is with our velocity right now. Later on, when we take a look at other parts, we will see that we have to apply some rules when altering the velocity, but they're very interesting because you already get to know a little bit about human playing. Good. But first of all, let's close this and do the same thing with the other parts here. And what is important when you shape this, every time try to imagine being the string player or the whatever instrument you're using and whatever instrument you try to make sound real. Always try to imagine being the player and really think about how you would play this musical passage at that moment. And then try to simulate this in your sequencer using the MIDI control changes and the velocity in case of the short articulations. And also every time think about what you as the composer want to do with this special part, or what you want to create, or feeling, things like that. So what I like to do here is give it a little rise, and then make it fall a little bit again and rise a little bit again. So we start somehow like here, Then we raise up to here, a little bit down, and raise again and go down again, like so. And then we can listen to this whole thing. Yeah, okay, now the basses are not so loud, but it's also a little bit interesting to check it, or yeah, that's something that's not only interesting, because, but something that you should do often when you're doing things like this. Always check back the whole mix, because often things sound real great themselves when you just listen to them soloed. They sound sometimes great, but when you then take them into the whole mix, you may sometimes think, well, what have I done there? It just sounds like crap. So every time, yeah, take the time and check back in the whole mix, even at this very early state. But it sounds good, and we will go then to the second part, and this, no, what I'm saying, the last part. And here also, this part here, because it's very steady, it's only to create some kind of rhythm, steady bass line. This will just get some variation, like so, wavy variation. And what's important here, it's the end of this piece, and I want to create a last hit at the end. So I let it rise and really crank up the last one right to the top at 127. Yes, like so. That's it for the basses. And now the same thing I'm going to do for the cellos, the violas, and the second and first violins. But I don't want to go through this whole process with you, because it's sometimes it can really be really boring. So what I'm going to do now is show you the special cases you may have when using short articulations in the strings, and how to treat these cases, how to make them sound good, and then move on with the rest of it and complete it, and pause the video through this. So we will take a look at the cellos now. Take a look at this first part here, and then I will do exactly what I'm doing here. The same procedures, techniques I'll show you here in the other parts as well, so we won't miss anything, but I will pause it in just to save some time. Okay, so, oh, sorry, we should first of all solo the cellos. Have a listen. So here also the basic shape. I also want to create a little rise. Okay, and here we come to a very interesting part. Here we have to apply, or here some rules of, yeah, I already talked about this a little bit, or just said there will be something. And here now finally it is. And it really, yeah, what I mean are these short notes here. Because when you have notes in quick succession, starting with the note value of eighths, you have to treat the velocity a little bit different, or no, let's say better, you have to add something to the velocity. Because here we have a little phenomenon about human playing in general. Even the best player all over the world is not able to play several notes in a row, and every note is at the exact same velocity, because he's not a machine. A machine player could do this, would be no problem. But humans can't do this, because that's the human nature. So we have to simulate this behavior somehow. And that is one of the rules. After every strong note becomes always a weaker one. Or let's say every second note, let's put it like this, that's better. Every second note is always weaker than the first note when you have notes in quick succession starting with note values of eighths. That is somehow the general definition of this rule. So what does that actually mean for us? Well, we just take a look at the first ones here. What we then do, we have here the first note and here the second note. So what we do now is just take the second note and make it a little bit lower than the first one so that we can get kind of a stairs shape. Go to the second one, also just cut the second note down. Here we have also first 2 eighths. First note is the strong one, second one is the weak one, so cut it down. First one strong, second one weak, already have it here, just make it a little bit more obvious. Here as well, first was a strong note, the second one is the weak one, and we put it down like this. And then when we listen to this now, it sounds a little more realistic. It sounds way better than if you just leave them at the same amount of velocity, or yeah, to do it the other way. But as it always is with rules, it really depends. Sometimes it really depends on the case that you have. Sometimes you shouldn't apply this rule, especially when you have something at the end where what leads to a new part. If you have several notes there and they are eighths, then I would recommend to really make this upward motion. And well, actually I just show you what I mean when we have this one here and then go one up. So we have this one here, then this, then you could apply here the rule of the first weak, first strong, second weak, and then here, because it leads to the new part, here you can do it like this because it much more contributes to the style of the composition you wanna do, and it sounds at this point often better. And actually you could do it here as well if you want to. Then you have. So it works in this cases. You can alter it. But when we come to sixteenths, then even what I showed you here isn't possible anymore. If you have sixteenths, then you have to alter it in that way, or you should alter it in that way because it will make the succession sound more real. But we will come to this in the staccato videos. There will be 2 of them because staccato is a little bit more, there are a little bit more things you can do with them. So we'll make 2 videos. Okay, but now I covered the rules, and that's what I'm doing with the cellos now in the whole part. Here is a case where you should always apply the rule of first one is strong, second one is weaker if you have the same note repeated over a specific time. Then you should always apply this rule because it sounds so much better. So we will want to make it a little bit low, here louder, here a little bit low, and then we can have a listen how it sounds now. Okay, and really concentrate on this one. That's without the rule. Now I cut it down and listen again. Then that's overdone, like so. So here you can really hear it. Applying the rule in that case really helps and improves the amount of realism a lot. Yes, so I will then go now and alter the last part here of the cellos and then come back and we will take a look at how to treat the violas. Okay, so that was the cellos. Now let's go on with the violas. And here we have another case that needs a little bit of treatment or special treatment with the velocity. Because now, if you have multiple notes played at the same time, then you should randomize the velocity values themselves inside of one stack. So we have here, let's go real big with this one here. We have these two notes slightly offset as they should, and we have the two velocities. So what we do now is we change the velocities in the stack themselves so that we have one note that is a little bit weaker than the other one. And if you have more than one, if you have a real chord, then you can, for example, if you would have something like this, and then you have a real chord, then you would then go in and really make something maybe like this or so and get a little variety inside of the notes. But let's delete this so we don't have something that we didn't have before and that we don't want in the composition. So then we move on to the other ones, and actually it was you would first of all go in and give it the general shape, and then go in again and alter the velocities like so, and it doesn't need to be that much. And you should, of course, here as well, don't overdo it. If you overdo it, then it quickly happens that you suddenly don't hear one note anymore. And what you always have to consider is the volume of the note it has. It's some kind of an exponential curve, you can say. So what do I mean with this? If you have, like here, a stack that starts like this. Both notes have a very high velocity. Then you can cut down the other note very much. I hope it's right to say it like this. You can really cut the other note very brutally, let's say. You can still hear it. But if you have a stack like this, then you shouldn't go that far because it's very low. So here you should really start to make the gaps a little bit way smaller. And here as well, if you have something like this, really don't go that much down with the other note, because then you quickly won't hear the other one. Yes, so that's how you treat this. Let's have a listen. And we still hear everything, so it's okay like this. And yeah, that's, as you can see here, the others are the exact same type, like the first part. When you take a look here, always stacks. So I will treat them as I showed you in this part, pause the video, and then come back again. Okay, so now I modified the violas all the way to the end. Sorry. And now let's go to the violins. And here we can take once again a look at our rule I told you before. If you have multiple notes like this coming in a row, let's say, like this, here you should really apply this rule if you have little groups like we had, well, when you have something like this, just make it like so, and you I'll take this now away just to show you something. If you, yeah, it's all right. If you have groups like these, yeah, like this, with really gaps like this between them, then you can alter them like so, because in this case the string player would have the time and the ability to really make the second note be louder. But if you have more than two, so let's say if you have more than two notes, you should apply the rule: first one weak, second one strong. Vice versa, first one strong, second one weak. Okay, so let's undo what I did here so that we have the original melody again. So here again, we shape it first of all. So we start a little bit low. Like so. And then we go in and cut down every second note. You can do it very rough at the beginning and then check back. Solo first, of course. So this one was also not in the piece. And you see, the melody now is coming to life. So, but now when you take a look at this here, you can see that this here is repeated more than once. So we have it in the first violins again, only one octave up. And we have it here at the end again. So now what you always should consider, of course, try to save some time if you can. So what we're doing now, we will delete the first violins part here, take the one from the second violins, put it down, take everything, move it up one octave. In Cubase you just hold down Shift and the up arrow, or you can just go down and yeah, move it upwards. Then you can alter the velocity a little bit, just to give it a little bit of variation, that it doesn't sound the same like the second violins. Yeah, so now we have at this point the first violins already finished at this point of time here. But of course, just in order to make everything nice and clean, we will also rename it. Good, then we can see here we have not much to do. We have this melody repeated here in the first violins, then it goes to the second again, then it is in the first violins again. So we go in to the second ones, alter this one here, so. Like so. Then we can cut this actually a little bit. Then we remember where the other part was. Take it here. Erase it here. Yeah, don't be too fast. And put it like so. And alter it a little bit. Like so. Alter it here again. Just a little bit. Maybe this one here is a little bit louder than the other one. Like so. Yes. There. So now we have this nearly finished because this is the first violins and it's one octave higher. So shift up arrow in Cubase, and then we have it one octave up. Then what we will do is take this, because when we take a look here, we have the same theme that we have in the beginning here. So what we'll do, very much cheating, we just cut it. That far that we don't cut off any of the note of these 4 notes here at the end, because these notes are the end notes. And then we just go in, take this and copy it over like so. This should work. And then what we can now do is have a listen to this whole thing, and maybe we can alter these two a little bit. But let's see. This part here, we didn't take a look at this part here. Yeah, don't wonder that we have these ones here. These were the notes that were in the part before I cut it down, but they won't play. So, bam. So that's the last hit. That was supposed to be very loud, so we crank it up here a lot. Close, first violins. So here we won't go that much as the second violins, but also quite loud, like so. Yes, and now we have everything altered using the velocity. So let's go to the beginning, listen to this whole thing, and then we will take a last look at how we can shape it even further or give it the final touch using some MIDI automation. So, but now let's have a listen. Oh, but first of all, I'll solo everything. Good. Okay, here I missed the starting point a little bit, so let's move it back. And yeah, so we can really hear now using velocity, it really came to life. And we will gonna take a quick look now what you can do using MIDI automation. So you have to set it up. The control change number CC11. In Cubase, we're using the quick controls. Click in this empty field, go to all CC and CC11 expression. On this YouTube channel, there is also a video about how to set up this MIDI automation in FL Studio. For the people who use other sequencers like Logic or Pro Tools, unfortunately you have to look yourselves how to set it up, but often it's in the documentation described how to do it. Yes, so we will take a final look a little bit how to shape the melody of the second violins even more. So we will start the expression at let's say 83, like so. Then we can, when we get to this upward motion here, when we get to this point, we will crank it up really high to make it a little bit more obvious, the overall flow of the melody. So we will enable record and start. Just this here, and listen to it soloed. We can disable it, crank it up full, so that we should have the default value. Also nice, but now listen to the automation. it got a little bit more shape. So now we can work ourselves through this whole thing one time using second violins. There you can see how I shape it even more. It's basically all I'm doing is first of all, you can take a look at how your velocity is, and then you use this kind of motion once more in the expression. Basically, that's what I'm doing. So yeah, let's start at the beginning once more and work ourselves through this whole thing one time. First violins. Like so. And that's how we are then going to shape the other ones as well. And basically it is, with automation, just supporting the movement we have using the velocity. Yes, and that will give it the final touch. So yes, that's how you use pizzicato articulation. Well, not how to use, but how to treat it to make it sound natural and realistic. And of course, when you're doing your own compositions, you shouldn't rush through this whole thing like I did now. Here it was for the sake of the tutorial, not to make it too long. If you compose, of course, really take the time, check back the parts, and really try to get the most out of it. It is really worth the time, the more time you spend with it. So, hope you enjoyed this video tutorial, and next week we are going to take a look at the first part of the staccato articulation. So there will be 2 videos about staccato because there's a little bit more that you can do with it. So next week will come the first part. See you then, and until then, have fun composing and have a nice flow, and may the creativity be with you. Goodbye.